Hi everybody, Joey here again and welcome back. So in today's video we'll be finishing up the extra large canister filter we started in a previous video. Now if you're not familiar with that build, I suggest checking out the original video first. But to sum it up, we used a 6-gallon bucket as the canister. For the lid we used a removable and waterproof twist top lid called a Gamma Seal. We also used a pair of uni seals as our way of getting plumbing into the canister. On the inside, we used some lighting diffuser propped up by some PVC pipe. This would make sure that no media was sucked out or block the bottom uni seal. All of this was explained in greater detail in the original video. Again, I suggest watching that first. As is, this entire portion cost about $25 so far. Now let's move on to finishing up this build. Given the fact that there are so many materials and ways to create an input and output, what I really want to focus on is some of the basics, what you need to consider, and some advice to ensure your canister filter works. First and foremost, large canisters like this function best when the pump is sucking water from the canister and returning it to the tank, and not by pumping water into it. In fact, most canisters are set up this way. If we pump water into the canister, this creates a lot of pressure, which is something we want to avoid as it puts too much stress on all of the seals. To do this, we want to attach a pump to the bottom of the canister so that water is being sucked out and pumped back up to the aquarium. Both the input and output use a couple of the same components, a ball valve and a union. The ball valve will allow us to cut the water flow after we shut the pump off, while the union will allow us to disconnect everything from the canister so we can actually clean it when the time comes. The ball valve will also allow us to control the flow if we need to. Now these are optional, but will certainly make it much easier to maintain the canister. Since we're using uni seals, you simply slide your PVC right into them. They will form their own seal and be watertight. At the base of the bucket you'll have your ball valve and then your union. This means that when you shut the pump off, you can close the ball valve and remove the pump by twisting off the union. Since the ball valve is closed, the water will remain in the bucket. For the top of the bucket, which will be your input, you want to add them in the opposite order. This means that when you close the ball valve, you are cutting water off from flowing from the tank. The union will allow you to still disconnect the entire canister though. So at this point we have the most important parts done. From here we can attach the pump however we like and create inputs and outputs however we want. For the sake of this video though, I'm going to quickly put together something to show you it in action. For a pump, I went with a G-Cod DCT pump. I would recommend the 4000 for this size canister or anything that flows 1,000 gallons per hour. I like them because they're cheap and they come with a controller to manipulate the flow. Plus I found them to be a pretty good pump. But I've only been using them for about a year, so don't hold me to that. A 4000 costs about an average of $70, which is really good. This is an internal or external pump, so I was able to attach some old rubber hose I had to the PVC pipe and then to the pump. I would have used some clamps on the hoses had this been a permanent situation, however this is only a demonstration. I then attached some more PVC pipe that led to the tank, followed by connecting a few 90-degree elbows to get it to hook up on top of the tank. Everything was cemented besides what actually went in the tank. This kept it movable so I could control the direction of the flow. I must add that had I been putting this on one of my tanks, I would have replaced that length of PVC pipe with some barbed adapters and flexible hose. I also would have did it for both the input and output, yet kept everything else the same. A hose would allow a lot more movement of the canister filter so I could place it wherever I want. Again though, this is just a demo. For the input, I used more PVC pipe, a couple elbows, and an end cap, which by the way are all 3/4 inch. I formed a U with 2 of the elbows which would go over the rim of the tank, and then drilled holes in the pipe to allow water flow. I focused on keeping them near the bottom of the pipe. You want as many holes as you can get, yet not be too big as to suck fish in. This was all cemented together besides the end cap. The end cap just slides on and off to allow cleaning of the pipe if I ever need to. Now for the media. I used a couple bags of lava rock that I got from a barbecue section of a hardware store, both costing under $15 total. Now I actually made a video in the past outlining why this is a great biological media, and I highly suggest you watch that because I talk about other do-it-yourself medias as well. I then topped this lava rock off with some cheap polyester filling to act as my mechanical media. Now, to ensure the lid would seal correctly and not leak, I lubricated the seal with Vaseline first, then twisted it on the bucket and attached the pump. To get this primed, you only have to suck on the output for a second until water starts to flow into the canister. Then you can turn the pump on. This works like any other canister filter. Water is sucked in from the input, it then enters the bucket and is mechanically filtered first to remove any debris from the water, and this is done by the filter floss that we added on top, followed by flowing over the lava rock where it will be biologically filtered and then returned to the tank. So just to cover some basics, you should clean the filter as needed and follow your typical canister filter maintenance. Flow rate should max out at around 1,000 gallons per hour, and this will be good for tanks up to 250 gallons. Now, similar sized filters like the Eheim 2262 have the same capacity for media, same flow rates, yet are rated for tanks up to 400 gallons. I should also mention that the Fluval FX6 is also rated for 400 gallon tanks, yet holds less than 4 times as much media. I guess what I'm getting at here is that these ratings for these filters, and even this bucket filtering 400 gallon tanks, is a bit of a stretch in my opinion. I think 200 to 250 gallons is a far more reasonable size. Let me finish with this though. I don't want to come across like I'm picking on these filters. However, not everyone has $500 to put towards a single canister filter. So this project is for those that need something a little more affordable yet still get the benefits of the sheer size of an extra large canister. For a total of $125 for a complete canister filter of this size, you really can't go wrong. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I also wanted to thank you for watching, and if you join me next Sunday, I'll have a new do-it-yourself project.